Cassie knew the Livingstons were strange the moment she met them. Polite, overly formal, like people playing a part. They spoke to Eva like she was porcelain. They spoke to Cassie like she was replaceable. "She's already eaten," Mrs. Livingston had said that evening, adjusting her lace gloves. "She goes to bed at 8. And whatever you do, don't open the basement door. Understood?" Cassie smiled like any 17-year-old would. She nodded, and the golden curls bounced innocently. "Yes, ma'am." But the basement door was the first thing she noticed once they left. Eva went to bed without protest, disappearing into her room like she'd done it 100 times without help. Cassie made herself tea, watched half a movie, then wandered. She was curious, always had been. The house was too quiet, and everything inside it was old, not charming old, but forgotten old. Furniture that looked staged, photo frames with stock images still in them, a fireplace with ashes that smelled burnt but long dead. The basement door was at the end of the hallway, slightly recessed, as if the house itself were trying to forget it was there. Cassie stood before it for a while. It was the only door with a lock on the outside. She opened it. Wooden steps led down into thick, cool air. She tried the switch. Nothing. Her phone flashlight barely pierced the dark. The space below was strangely clean. No cobwebs, no dust. Just a large, empty room, silent and still. And in the center, a table. On it, a board game. It looked hand-carved, circular, with a spiraling path of symbols instead of spaces. Some crude, some complex. None she recognized. 2 game pieces stood on it. One was a silver girl. The other looked like a small black shadow, shapeless, shifting ever so slightly, even in the still air. Cassie stepped closer. As she reached for the girl piece, the black one slid 1 space forward. She froze. There were no dice, no cards, just a spinner etched with more symbols. Cassie turned it. It clicked 3 times before stopping on an image. A window, covered by curtains. The silver girl piece moved on its own, advancing 3 spaces. Cassie leaned in. The space it landed on showed a pair of watching eyes. No face, just eyes. Behind her, upstairs, a door creaked open. She turned toward the basement stairs. Nothing. She turned back to the board. The black piece moved again. The next space was a drawing of a key. Cassie didn't touch anything, but from under the table, something clinked. She crouched cautiously. There, lying on the ground, was a key, an old one, cold in her hand, and engraved with her initials. Cassie stared at it, her pulse rising. She hadn't told the Livingstons her middle name. She stood up, heart thudding, and turned to leave. But now the stairs looked longer, somehow darker. From somewhere behind her, Cassie heard a whisper. Not a word, just breath, right near her ear. She spun around but saw no one. The phone light flickered. The screen dimmed. Battery, 1%. It had been at 70% a minute ago, then dead. She heard the spinner click again behind her. The silver piece moved. This time, the tile showed a mouth sewn shut, and Cassie's throat tightened. Not painfully, just wrong. She tried to scream. Nothing. No voice. Panicking now, she stumbled toward the stairs. Each step felt heavier. The shadows seemed to swell. She reached the door, clawed at the handle. It didn't open. The key was in her hand. She tried it. It fit. She turned it. The door opened into a different room. Not the hallway, not the Livingstone's house. She was in another basement, or the same one, altered. The walls were wrong, too close, pulsing slightly, breathing almost. The table was still there, but it looked older now, decayed. The game board had changed. More pieces on it now. Dozens, all shaped like people. Some bent, some broken, some with terrified painted faces frozen in silent screams. And hers, the silver girl, was now deep in the spiral. Behind her, she heard footsteps. She turned. The Livingstones. Only now their eyes were glassy, their faces smooth. They moved like puppets. "Well done," Mrs. Livingstone said, voice like wind in dead leaves. "She made it further than the last one," Mr. Livingstone added, smiling, "far too wide." Cassie backed away. The board pulled at her, not with hands, but with memory. She saw herself playing with a similar board years ago, in a different house, a different city, forgetting, always forgetting. The Livingstones stepped forward in unison. "Your turn is over," they said together. Cassie screamed, or thought she did, but no sound came. Her body moved without her will. Stepping to the table, she placed the key down. The silver figure on the board glowed briefly, then stilled. Her vision dimmed. Her hands felt carved. Her breath slowed. Everything froze, except the board. The spinner turned one final time. The shadow piece moved forward and reset. Upstairs, Ava opened her eyes. Thirsty. She got out of bed and padded down the hallway. The basement door was ajar. Inside, the light was warm, inviting, but Ava knew better. Grandma had made sure to scare her enough to never go into the basement, so she abandoned her thoughts of getting water and quickly returned to bed. Later that night, the Livingstones returned. They hung up their coats and took off their gloves. They peered into the basement. The game board was quiet, still. A new piece sat beside the others now. A golden-haired girl, eyes wide. "She'll hold," Mrs. Livingstone said. "For a while," said her husband, and they both smiled.